Welcome back, everybody, to Niners Now. I'm your host, Brady Grustas, at Grustas Brady on X. You can follow me there. And today is the Week 6 recap show. The San Francisco 49ers, the most injured team in the NFL, officially drop to 4-2 after losing 30-19 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But they lost more than just the game on Sunday. They also lost arguably their best player in Fred Warner for the entire season. We'll talk about Fred, what this means for the 49ers, and we'll give out some grades from Sunday on today's show. But before we begin, go ahead and subscribe down below, leave a like, leave a comment, and let's get into it. So regardless of what happened out there on Sunday, the biggest news of the weekend is that Fred Warner is out for the season with a dislocated and broken ankle. The Niners lost Warner to injury in the first half, and you could feel all the air disappear from 49ers fans around the world. It has been a long time since I saw an injury so deflating, so disappointing, so discouraging. You could even feel it in the announcer's booth. I mean, Tony Romo especially seemed flat and distracted at times after that injury happened. In a single play, it completely changed the complexion of the game and the entire season for San Francisco. When Nick Bosa tore his ACL in week 3, I came on this channel and I talked about how it's a knockout punch, right? I said without Bosa, this team's ceiling was gone. No Super Bowl this year. Losing Fred Warner is another knockout punch, and this one might be even worse. Fred Warner is one of the NFL's great Iron Man players. He's missed one game in his entire career. It's year 8 for Fred, 8th season in the league, and he's missed one game before now. But now, sadly, he's done for the year. He'll miss the final 11 of this season. And depending on the rehab, maybe the first couple of next season as well. This is a brutal injury, brutal situation all around. I'd argue that Fred Warner is the biggest leader on this team, period, bar none. You could tell by the way his teammates were talking about him after the game, and you could tell by his actions every day as a member of the 49ers, and you could tell by the product on the field. Fred, he's irreplaceable. He's an irreplaceable player at a pretty replaceable position. I mean, you don't find a lot of linebackers who bring as much to their teams as Fred Warner brings to his team. I mean, just a few days ago, we were talking about adding to the 49ers at the trade deadline and capitalizing on a unique opportunity to win. But is there really an opportunity without Fred Warner? At this point, I don't really know, right? It's soon after the game. Still got a long season ahead, right? There's a lot to figure out still. It's only week 6, if you can believe it. I think the Niners, they might have a chance at making the playoffs. They'll have a long runway to kind of figure out their season and, get the young guys playing great and playing better. But, we'll have to see, right? I don't know if this defense with no Fred Warner and no Nick Bosa can really hold up against a playoff caliber team. I just can't see it. Now, luckily, the 49ers don't play very many playoff caliber teams this season, so they may still be able to get some wins anyways. But it's hard. It's hard with no Fred Warner and no Nick Bosa. Those two guys are unbelievably good. When they were, each injured. Guy Haberman said this as well. Shout out to Guy Haberman. Both of those guys were playing at Defensive Player of the Year levels when they got hurt, and he was right. Guy's right about that. Fred Warner was playing out of his mind. I mean, you could see one of the first plays of the game. Fred blows up a screen pass. Absolutely annihilates it, and it's immediately such a tone setter for this defense. But now you've got to find a way to win without them, right? This Niners offense, the offense, as beat up as they are, they're going to have to be the engine of this team. I think the Niners will go as far as their offense takes them from this point forward. I mean, because you can't count on the defense anymore. At least not the way that we could earlier on in the year, right? I mean, we've talked on this channel about all the elite game-saving and game-winning plays that this defense has made, right? You've got Nick Bosa forcing the fumble on Sam Darnold in week 1 to win it. You've got Bryce Huff forcing a fumble on Spencer Rattler in week 2 to win it. You've got Upton Stout making a great pass deflection in week 3 to win it. And you've got Alfred Collins in week 5 taking that big club and knocking out the ball from Kyren Williams. And you've got all these elite defensive game-saving plays, and I just don't know if you can count on this defense the same way without Fred Warner. Now, we said that after the Nick Bosa injury, so, we'll have to see, right? We'll have to see what this group is really made of, what kind of mentality they have, how they respond to this, how Robert Saleh responds to this. He's a huge part of this team and a huge part of this defense in particular. And it's going to be, responsibility is heavily on Saleh's shoulders, right? You've got all these other players who've got to produce, right? The players have to get out there and do it, but Saleh's job to put them in the right spot. And that gets a lot harder without Fred Warner, but it's a test, right? And, it's just tough because it's just tough, right? As you can see, I'm kind of at a loss for words here. It's soul crushing to watch every week the team's best players drop like flies. It's every week, and it's every year. This run of injury issues for the Niners, it's got to be studied. It really does. This is an unfathomable stretch of bad health. Going all the way back to the Navarro Bowman injury in Seattle, right? Where he gets carted off the field in Seattle. I forget what the name of that stadium was. I think that was before Lumen Field. But, Seahawks fans are throwing trash at him as he's being carted off the field. Feels like even back then, the Niners were one of the most injured teams in the NFL. And here we are, even still, right? After the Harbaugh era, after the terrible mid-2010s years, and now into the mid-2020s. It's brutal. It's one of the only facets of this team that I don't have an answer for, right? That I don't have a response for. Because with poor play calling or poor performance on the field, poor execution, poor drafting, any other issues that a football team can have, there's an explanation, right? There's something to talk about. There's a way to fix it. But with injuries, I've got nothing. I've got nothing, man. You can change out the entire training staff. You can change the way you practice. You can change how much you stretch, and it just doesn't seem to matter as much. I've got no response for that, which is tough as someone who runs a YouTube channel. Got to find stuff to talk about. But if Fred Warner, one of the NFL's healthiest, most reliable, and best, frankly, players, can get hurt, then I don't know. I guess nobody's safe, right? But when it comes to the rest of the season, I'll be honest, I have no more expectations, right? Now, I still believe in this team to a certain extent, right? I don't think they're going to go winless the rest of the year, but I'm not expecting anything anymore. My mentality now is in the mode of I'm going to watch this team every Sunday and we'll see what happens, right? I'm not expecting wins anymore. I'm rooting for wins, certainly. I think it's never a good thing to lose a football game. But I can't expect that anymore. And it's hard after last year, especially. Just this year was supposed to be about like righting the ship, right? Getting that winning culture back to San Francisco, bringing back Saleh, getting younger. That's what it was supposed to be about. And we'll see with all these major injuries. We'll see how much that culture is able to shine through. It really has in the first 6 weeks of the season. If you looked at all these injuries and you said the Niners were even going to be 500, that would be a phenomenal performance. But, Niners are sitting at 4 wins, still technically leaders in the NFC West, right? The season's not over, right? There's still games to play, and there's still games to win, frankly. I think the Niners absolutely win some more games going forward. Question is how many, right? But ultimately, wins or losses, I think the rest of this year, for me personally, it's going to be about watching the young guys. Of course, we'll go over everything on this channel, but for my personal enjoyment, I want to see the youth, right? I want to see the rookies and the second-year players making big plays. Mykel Williams got his first sack in the NFL this week. Alfred Collins had a couple nice plays. I bet we start to see a little bit of Nick Martin now that Fred is out. I don't think that this team is looking to buy at the deadline anymore, but I'm also not convinced that we're sellers, right? I don't think we're just going to start shipping off players left and right. I saw a lot of conversation about that online, and I don't think I'm all the way there yet. But for the next 11 games, it's about helping these young guys grow, really seeing what we have in the rest of the roster, and trying to win games while doing so. So thank you for listening to my TED Talk. I know that was a bit of a tangent, but when you've got an injury like this, a moment like this in a football season, it requires some attention, right? Fred Warner is one of, if not the best player in the NFL, in my book. He is unbelievable. He's an amazing person as well. He's a great leader. He's a great player. Prayers out to Fred Warner. Hopefully he recovers well, and hopefully he's feeling all right. Now that that's all out of my system, I want to talk about what happened on the field on Sunday, right? Let's do our recap show, and let's give out some grades to the offense, the defense, and the special teams. Now, we're going to start with the special teams unit today, because there's actually some good news on this front. Eddie Pinheiro is this team's kicker. He is the guy. I'm sold on it. He's doing exactly what is asked of him, and what is asked of him is, hey, get out there and make all your kicks under 50 yards, right? That's your game. And he's doing that. But he's also drilling kicks from over 50, too. Pretty reliably. He's not committing any kickoff penalties. He's not missing any kicks. And in every game he's played so far for the 49ers, he's been the better kicker. He was better than Blake Grupe in week 2, Chad Ryland in week 3, Cam Little in week 4, Josh Carty in week 5. And this week he was better than Chase McLaughlin, who had a miss, I believe, when the game was still in reach, no doubt, and Pinheiro did not. Pinheiro was better than McLaughlin on Sunday. One of the top priorities this offseason, for me at least, will be keeping Eddie Pinheiro around. I really think he's the guy. They found their kicker. The Niners also had a positive special teams play after Thomas Morstead drew a roughing the punter penalty. You don't see that very often. Shout out to Morstead. The Niners didn't get through for any huge game-changing plays on Tampa Bay. They got close to blocking a few kicks. I think I saw Saron Neal nearly got his hands on one, but unfortunately could not get it done. And Sky Moore, man, he has been, as usually, mind-boggling as a returner. I don't understand what he's doing back there. I think overall, I'm going to give the special teams a B. I think they were the best unit on the team this week, but they weren't especially good. One last thing I do want to highlight with the special teams, though, is we saw Brian Robinson on kick returns now in place of Isaac Guerendo. This is absolutely the right move, and this actually factors into my grade for this week. Guerendo was a net negative out there, and you've got to give someone else a shot. Robinson looked all right back there as a returner. I think this was a positive move. Now let's talk about the offense. Simply put, there were too many mistakes for the offense this week. It started right away when Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne got the play mixed up on the very first drive of the game. Mac threw a pick right to a Tampa Bay defender, and his day was bookended by 2 interceptions. Also had a couple of fumbles, one of them picked up by Levante David. I'm struggling to remember if he lost 2 fumbles or just the one. I believe it was just the one. Jones, he looked shakier and shakier as the game went on, frankly. He was sacked, I think, 6 times. The pressure was really getting to him, and you could see it, right? He looked a little bit rattled. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the day. Kendrick Bourne had another huge day, though, with some massive chunk plays down the field, had another 100-yard game, but he had some really dumb penalties as well. Bourne, Demarcus Robinson, and Jawan Jennings have all been very up and down so far this year. The stability that the Niners were looking for from those 3, it's been completely absent so far this year. Jawan Jennings especially, man. What is going on with Jennings? Apparently, he's playing through 5 broken ribs and both a low ankle sprain and a high ankle sprain. That's according to his own words after the game. But Jawan, I mean, if you're playing through so much pain and so many injuries, then how come you had a false start and an offensive pass interference penalty? Like, those are mental mistakes. That's not because you're injured. You didn't lay out that defender too far downfield on the offensive pass interference penalty because you were injured. That's a mental lapse. That is a mistake. Jennings had 1 catch and 2 penalties on Sunday. And he was also spotted arguing with Kyle Shanahan on the sideline. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Jennings is so beat up right now. I don't care how bad he wants it. If he's that hurt, he should not be playing. You shouldn't be playing football with 5 broken ribs. I'm sorry. You shouldn't. Especially if you're not even producing, right? 1 catch for 7 yards today. That cannot be worth the risk of re-injury. He gave the Niners a phenomenal year last year, right? We have to give credit to Jennings. He was one of the very few bright spots in that 2024 season. And the 49ers gave him a raise as a result this training camp. But this year, it's been a disaster for Jawan Jennings. I don't think it's, too much to say It's been disastrous. It's really, really bad. There's no other way to put it. I can't imagine there's much interest around the league for Juwan Jennings, but if there is, you have to at least think about moving him. I can't imagine they re-sign him this offseason. He's not producing on the field. He's starting to cause some problems off the field with, arguing with Kyle Shanahan. I know the offense has to carry this team, right? And I know that Juwan, when he's healthy, is a valuable, valuable contributor to this team. But if this is what you're getting from him, both on and off the field, I would much rather just play Jordan Watkins, right? I know he's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. He might have penalties. But your non-rookies are making mistakes and committing penalties. Kendrick Bourne and Juwan Jennings are getting penalized. Why can't Watkins get those valuable reps and do the exact same, right? Or what about putting Russell Gage out there or Jacob Cowing? It's something to consider, man. But, last but not least, on the offensive side, I got to talk about the offensive line. The interior especially. They've been terrible. This is not a fluke anymore. The trio of Connor Colby, Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney, outright awful. Just not good. I bet we hear at the end of the year that, Pooney's been playing the entire year through a broken something or a torn something. And if that is the case for Pooney, then, credit for playing through it. But regardless of what he's got going on, whether he's healthy or not, the interior is terrible right now. They cannot do anything. They can't consistently win short yardage spots. They can't hold up in long yardage spots. They can't do anything, right? It's not good enough. I want the front office to attack the interior O-line with the same aggressiveness that they used to fix that defensive tackle spot last offseason. That's the kind of energy I want for the offensive line this offseason. Give me multiple rookies, maybe a good veteran, right? It's just not good enough the way they have it right now. The Niners did get their first rushing touchdown of the year. Shout out to Christian McCaffrey. Finally broke that streak. But overall, I've got to give the offense a C. Turnovers, mistakes, flat out, poor play, poor execution. There were some saving graces, for sure. There were some highlights, but overall, poorly executed offense. Now, let's talk about the defense. The Niners were playing good football, man. That's what hurts the most. Fred Warner, like I said, blew up that screen on the first drive, and once he went down, it was a completely different ball game. Giant gaps over the middle of the field, blown coverage, poor communication, and above it all, bad tackling. The defense missed so many tackles. It was brutal. That 3rd and 14 run from Baker Mayfield, absolutely inexcusable. Each one of the 5 tackles that he forced a miss on, they were inexcusable. Inexcusable tackling from Bryce Huff, from Travis Gibson, from Upton Stout, I think, missed one. It was just not good at all. I felt like the heart and the fight and the grit and that clutch mentality that we saw from this team and this defense, especially earlier in the year, I think it was gone. I couldn't see it, right? Tatum Bethune stepped in and played Mike linebacker in this game, and I thought we got to see who Bethune is, right? People who've been paying close attention to this team, they kind of know who Bethune is, right? He's an instinctive, he's a big hitting linebacker, and he's a good run defender, but a little better moving forward than moving backwards. That's what they say about guys like Tatum Bethune. I'd like to see some sort of linebacker rotation the rest of the season. Get guys like Bethune, Winters, Luke Gifford, Nick Martin. They've all got strengths, and they all have ways that they can contribute to this defense, but it's going to be up to Saleh to put them in positions to succeed. On the positive side, Mykel Williams, first career sack. Congratulations to Mykel. It was a nice play. Baker Mayfield scrambling all over the place. And, in those plays where Baker's on the move and, other quarterbacks who are maybe even better at scrambling than Baker is, the best thing you can do is to clean it up. Clean up the mess. That's what Bryce Huff and Travis Gibson couldn't do on that back-breaking 3rd and 14. But that is what Mykel Williams did for his first sack of the season. So shout out to Mykel for that. Another guy who had a very up and down day was Marquis Siegel. Siegel can hit, man. He's a tackler. That's for sure. He had a couple nice plays in that regard. But my God, that Tez Johnson touchdown was awful from Siegel. He got completely torched on that play. This defense was giving up huge chunk plays to guys like Tez Johnson and Cameron Johnson and Rashad White. I mean, it was not good. I'm going to give the defense a D. That's my grade for the defense this week. It seemed like they just got shell-shocked by the Warner thing, and they just weren't able to overcome it. Now, the good news is that Saleh's going to have some more time to game plan around this issue, right? It'll be hard, but it'll be easier with, a week of game planning than it is with about 5 seconds when you see Fred Warner go down mid-game and all of a sudden you've got to have a plan and you've got to be able to play around the loss of Warner. I expect Saleh to have some creative ways to at least sort of stop the bleeding here, but, we'll see. As a fan, honestly, I've got some pretty measured expectations for Saleh because this is not easy. But what I do want to see, no matter who's on the field, is improved tackling. Okay, there's a lot of things that are hard in the NFL, especially on defense. Covering receivers is hard, right? Sacking the quarterback is hard. These things are not easy. But you know what is not that hard comparatively? Tackling. Just wrapping up, taking good angles. Seems like the Niners are probably going to allow 300 plus yards of offense every week for the rest of the year. That's just my guess. But if they can avoid like 350 or 400 or 500, they can avoid those real collapses, then I think there's absolutely a chance they can still win some games. They just need to do enough, right? With no Nick Bosa and no Fred Warner, the time is now for these young guys. Just show me that you can do enough. Like Alfred Collins in that Rams game, man. Rams were driving down the field. They were at the 1.5 yard line, but Alfred Collins did enough. He made the play. Now it's time for everybody to produce, including Collins, right? And, I'm pretty excited to see how they do because I do believe in the youth of this team and this defense especially. So that is all for this episode. How would you grade the 49ers' performance in Week 6? Let me know down below, and let me know if you enjoyed this episode. Leave a comment, leave a like, and let me know if there's any topics that you'd like to see me cover. Thank you all for watching, and subscribe for 49ers videos 5 days a week. I'm Brady Grustas, at Grustas Brady on X. This has been Niners Now, and I'll see you tomorrow.